David Ornstein reveals unstoppable striker is now the top priority on Arsenal's transfer list. And more. Arteta hit with more bad news as Real Madrid gets a massive Champions League boost. To wrap it up, one of the best in the world is ready to reject Barcelona and sign for Arsenal. All this and more you can check out now with the top Arsenal news directly from Emirates Stadium. So make sure to like the video and check your subscription so you don't miss any updates. And without further ado, let's get started. Arsenal are entering a new chapter in their transfer strategy, with Andrea Berta now officially at the helm as the club's sporting director. Following Edu's resignation earlier this season, the Gunners moved quickly to secure Berta as his replacement, an appointment that signals a fresh approach in the market, and he's wasting no time getting to work. One of Berta's first priorities is securing a contract extension for Bukayo Saka, ensuring that Arsenal's star winger remains at the Emirates for the long term. But he's not just focused on renewals, he's also keeping an eye on potential signings, with Wolves' Matheus Cunha reportedly on his radar. According to David Ornstein on the Athletic FC podcast, one name that has surged up Arsenal's transfer shortlist since Berta's arrival is Victor Gyokeres. The Swedish striker has been linked with a move to North London for months, but it now appears that Berta sees him as a top target to reinforce Arsenal's front line. With the summer window approaching, the Gunners' new sporting director is already making his mark, and it looks like some big moves could be on the horizon. Victor Gyokeres moves up Arsenal's transfer shortlist. Ornstein spoke about Arsenal and their links to Gyokeres. Arsenal have been linked to Gyokeres for a while, something that Ornstein acknowledges. However, according to the journalist, something has changed now in that Gyokeres has moved up the club's transfer shortlist now that Berta has arrived. Of course, Gyokeres has been mentioned in relation to Arsenal and many other clubs for quite a long time. We published the story on Sunday evening that Arsenal are developing a strong interest in him, and that Andrea Berta has been a huge admirer of him for a long time. That dates back to his time at Atletico Madrid, Ornstein said. People saw that and said, "Oh, what are they reporting? He's always been on the radar. What's changed?" I think it's pretty clear what's changed in that the sporting director who's arriving rates him extremely highly. When you look at the price, in theory, I think people have said around 70 million euros, the salary you would imagine would fit into Arsenal's wage structure, which is another issue maybe with Alexander Isak, who's being paid very well at Newcastle and would want, understandably, a rise. What sort of a rise would Arsenal or Liverpool give him that would take him far beyond what Newcastle would be prepared to do? Gyokeres, you would imagine, would fit in. His record at Sporting speaks for itself. People can scrutinize that in the Portuguese league, scrutinize Coventry. They can scrutinize his style for Arsenal's system, etc., etc. It's great that we all talk about these things. I don't know nearly as much as everybody else that's pontificating on that front, but we have sourced properly that he's going to be a really strong contender, which my understanding previously was not necessarily the case. I don't think he figured as highly as it looks like he will this summer. That is not saying they're going to sign him, but clearly he's one we should be paying close attention to. And I said I'd come back to the point about the other positions. Andrea Berta is a huge admirer of Victor Gyokeres, and honestly, it's easy to see why. The Swedish striker has been tearing it up in Portugal, scoring goals for fun and earning a reputation as an unstoppable force in front of goal. But while Gyokeres' numbers are impressive, there's a valid reason for Arsenal to approach this deal with caution. Historically, splashing big money on players from the Portuguese league hasn't always worked out, and Berta knows this better than most. During his time at Atletico Madrid, he frequently dipped into that market, and not all of his signings lived up to expectations. João Felix arrived for a massive fee, but never truly justified the investment. Nicolas Gaitan failed to make an impact, and Gelson Martins barely made a dent in Madrid before moving on. Of course, there were some success stories. Jan Oblak became one of the world's best goalkeepers after arriving from Benfica, and Diogo Jota has since proven his quality. But overall, Berta's track record with Portuguese league signings is mixed at best. With Gyokeres likely to command a hefty transfer fee, Arsenal will need to be sure they're getting the real deal, and not just another expensive gamble. Mikel Arteta receives more bad news as Real Madrid handed significant Champions League boost. Mikel Arteta's side will welcome the reigning European champions to the Emirates in what promises to be a blockbuster quarter-final clash. But as the game approaches, Arsenal could be dealing with some major selection headaches. Jurriën Timber and Ben White are both doubts, and their availability remains uncertain. With Gabriel Magalhaes already ruled out for the season, Arteta is sweating over his defensive options ahead of arguably their biggest game of the campaign. Meanwhile, Real Madrid boss Carlo Ancelotti had his own concerns, as several of his stars, including Kylian Mbappe, were facing a UEFA investigation. However, a verdict has now been reached, and it looks like Madrid will have their full squad available for the showdown in North London. With both teams fighting for glory on multiple fronts, this quarterfinal is shaping up to be a true heavyweight battle. UEFA have officially cleared Antonio Rudiger, Kylian Mbappe, Vinicius Jr., and Dani Ceballos to face Arsenal in the Champions League quarter-final, despite the charges brought against them following Real Madrid's heated derby win over Atletico. Rudiger has been slapped with a €40,000 fine and a suspended one-match ban, meaning he's free to line up against the Gunners. Mbappe, meanwhile, will have to cough up €30,000 for his role in the celebrations, while ex-Arsenalman Dani Ceballos has been hit with a €20,000 fine. For Madrid, this is a massive boost. Having their key players available for such a crucial clash will be a huge relief for Carlo Ancelotti as they prepare to take on Arteta's men. Speaking of Ceballos, his return to the Emirates adds an extra layer of intrigue to this tie. The Spanish midfielder spent 2 seasons on loan at Arsenal, where he had his fair share of highs and lows. While he showed flashes of brilliance, his dramatic FA Cup quarter-final winner against Sheffield United in 2020 stands out. He also divided opinion among fans. His time in North London wasn't without drama either. He famously clashed with Eddie Nketiah in training, and now, if fit, he could be back in action, this time trying to crush Arsenal's European dreams. With Declan Rice likely to be running the show in midfield for the Gunners, a potential battle between the two could add even more spice to an already massive fixture. One of the best players in the world is now willing to snub Barcelona and join Arsenal. Arsenal are gearing up for a massive summer transfer window, with plenty of moves expected as they look to strengthen the squad. With key areas in need of reinforcements, new sporting director Andrea Berta has a big job on his hands to get the right deals over the line. A new striker is at the top of the priority list, but that's not the only position that needs attention. In midfield, both Thomas Partey and Jorginho could be on their way out, meaning fresh faces will be needed to bolster the engine room. On top of that, Arsenal will also have to find a backup goalkeeper, as NATO is set to return to Bournemouth. Fortunately for the Gunners, there's some good news on that front, with potential options already being lined up. With so many key decisions to be made, this summer could be a defining moment for Arteta's squad. Arsenal have set their sights on Joan Garcia as their top goalkeeping target for the summer. The Gunners had already tried to bring the Spaniard to North London last year, but Espanyol's asking price was simply too high at the time. Now, with another transfer window approaching, interest in Garcia is heating up again. Arsenal Insider previously reported that the 23-year-old was eager to make the move last summer, and this time around, the competition for his signature is even fiercer. According to the Daily Mail, European giants like Barcelona, Atletico Madrid, and Xabi Alonso's Bayer Leverkusen are all keeping tabs on him. Despite this, Garcia has reportedly shown a strong willingness to join Arsenal, where he would battle fellow Spaniard David Raya for the number 1 spot under Mikel Arteta. Espanyol are currently demanding £22 million for their star shot stopper, but there's a twist. If the club gets relegated, a clause in his contract would allow Arsenal to snap him up for just £12 million. That kind of deal would be an absolute steal, making this a situation worth keeping a close eye on as the summer window approaches. What Spain's media have said about Garcia will excite Arsenal fans. Raya is Arsenal's undisputed number 1. The Spaniard is among the best goalkeepers in the world, and he has been phenomenal for the Gunners over the last year. Even if Garcia joins, Raya is expected to stay as the number 1, but the Espanyol star should not be underestimated. His country's media believe he is one of the best in the world too. Diario AS said about Garcia in March, "Perfect in the air, he once again demonstrated that, in the eyes of everyone except Luis de la Fuente, he is one of the best goalkeepers in the world. Not in Europe, in the world. It's that clear." Well folks, those were the main news for today. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated on everything happening with our beloved team, you know what to do. Subscribe to the channel now and hit the bell icon so you don't miss any updates. Thanks for joining us, and until the next video.